Welcome to Lab Podcast, episode 9. We have a very special guest, one of my personal favorite artists, and you've probably seen his art a lot just in my own music because I commission him a lot. Probably might have even seen him in on your feed and social media, whatever, because you're a pretty big artist, honestly. At Instant Onion on old handles, or my boy Nelson. Thanks for coming on.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
It's nice to see you again.
Oh yeah, it's always great seeing you. I feel like I don't really drive a lot too much, and also live downtown when we first were talking. So I feel like the only times I really got to see you was like seeing you in person on like cons, like conventions.
Yeah.
Like in the artist booth, I'll just like come say hi, support the boy. Still love to do it. And so like it's always nice to be able to see you in person because I feel like we always cut it up, have really good conversations. Thanks for coming again. Yeah, it's just like I feel like one of the reasons I asked you specifically to come on this podcast was just like, we're kind of filling different niches. I mean, I specifically like talking about like music industry stuff, but something you do I feel like is really kind of big these days, where there's a lot of using social media to leverage like your own artist career and things like that, because like you're a freelance artist yourself, and being able to make a career out of that like these days is pretty. I feel like a lot of people want to do that, you know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I feel like you have a lot of insights, and so like it's great having you on, my guy.
Oh, thank you. You.
So yeah, I think the reason as I was saying, like to the guys in the back before you came in, it was like I didn't even find your art originally. It was Katie's art.
Yeah.
Which is your significant other.
Yeah.
I found out later on, which is also crazy. I found her art on my feed, and it was like specifically like a sticky tofu, which is like a Taiwanese dish. It's like fried tofu that's fermented, and it stinks when you fry it.
Yeah.
And then so it's like pretty famous like Taiwanese dish, and then I'm Taiwanese, she's Taiwanese. So I saw it and I was like, yo, her art is like fucking sick. I would love to use, like, she had this pancake one, which I used for Dreaming Blueberry Pancakes, one of my tracks. And that's sort of like how I got to like talk to her initially. And then she would post like your art on her story.
Yeah.
And I was like, yo, who is this guy? Like this Instant Onion guy is crazy. And you're doing a lot of pixel art at the time. And specifically it was like that Inktober, like 2018, 2019. I don't know which specific one.
Yeah, I think that was 2017 or 2018.
And you had like
that.
the koi fish illustrations with the ink, like sort of thing. And so that's when I really got drawn to. So when I was like really scared to message you because you're so big, and I was like, oh,
no, I wasn't even that big back then.
I was just like, oh, like will Nelson even or Instant even like DM me back or whatever. I just like really love this guy's art, and I think it would fit the vision of like my album at the time, which is Snapshot. So hit you up about this idea, and then from there, like we kind of are sitting here together on the couch.
Yeah, you know what's so funny? I asked Katie last night, like, I saw the first question of the podcast is like, how do we meet up? And I kind of forgot how we did meet up, and like me and Katie were just like talking about it, trying to refresh my memory. Yeah. And I remember like, oh, this guy like messaged you to use this art for his album, right? And I was like, who's this guy? And then I realized, I was like, oh my god, that's Biosphere. Because I listened to you, but I didn't really know like who you were back then. But I just listened to you on like a lot of like YouTube playlists. Yeah. And I'm like, wait, this guy's stuff is familiar. I like his stuff. Yo, you should use this art. And yeah, that's I think like I really want to work with you after that.
Oh,
I was like a lot more forthcoming, because if a random music artist hits me up, then usually if I don't vibe with his music, then
it's hard for you to want to do that.
Especially if they ask me to make an artwork that I'm like, oh, I don't really know if this like mixes well.
Mm-hmm. And we're notoriously hard to work with sometimes. I feel like some artists are just like annoying to work with.
Yeah, some artists are like that. Yeah,
I always try to, knowing that, I always try to be like as best as possible, like just like everything. The way I commission people is the way I would want someone to commission me.
Yeah,
like, exactly. Just like, yo, I'll give you all and this is something I talk to COVID a lot is my philosophy for commissioning artists is like, I'm coming to you because I love your art, like and I'm coming to you with an idea. I don't want to like limit you in your ideas. Like I want to give the artist the full creative freedom to do whatever they want, because at the end of the day, it's like I'm coming to you for your vision. You know what I'm saying? I might just give you the guidelines of like, okay, I kind of want this, like this idea, maybe this style, and then everything else I'm hands off. Like you just do your thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I think there's a really fine balance between when a client is very overly hands-on and when a client is very like just do whatever you want. Sometimes when a client says do whatever you want, then it's a bit directionless, and it's like, oh, okay, now I'm getting kind of like self-conscious and like, oh, what if they like this or this? And then so I start off with coming up with like 5 different ideas, and kind of like feeling it and like see like, do you like this, do you like this? But if the client's like overly picky, I've had both. I've had the whole spectrum. And when clients are overly picky, I'm like, I have to go through like 3-4 different revisions, and it's like over the smallest things too.
Oh, it's always the small things, and you're just like, dude, I bet you. Okay, this is not a good thing to do for clients, but sometimes like if I'm like kind of annoyed of like just such a little thing, I'll purposely not change anything and send them and just be like, hey, there's a new version, and sometimes they just don't notice, and it's like really fun. It's fucked up thing to do for clients for sure, but it's like when it comes to that point, it's so small that you yourself don't even notice that the change. I feel like there's a problem. Like it's too small. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure.
So, that's aside. Don't do that. It's not a good thing to do. But that's how I feel.
Back when I was a graphic designer for a little bit for a software company, and my client was very picky with how he did logo designs. So I would purposefully give him 3 versions of the same thing, but I would purposefully make the version that I like the most, the best looking one. So I would just try to subconsciously lead him towards that one. And have him not pick the other ones, but then he would most of the time pick the other ones anyway. I'm like, damn, that's the one I spent the least effort on. I like tried so hard on my version that I like, and he picked the ugly one.
Dude, it's always like that, man. And I mean, as I said before, I feel like the times we really interacted before was just me pulling up to conventions. This is something I like to do still. Is just like if there's I mostly only commission artists based in Toronto. It's like I just started doing that because I just knew people, so it was easier to like, because sometimes I need a little bit last minute, and then I would feel bad if it was just a random artist. So like if I kind of had a personal connection with them, it would be a little easier to ask them for a little more than they usually would commission for. So because a lot of Toronto artists, when anime conventions or like conventions happen in Toronto, when they do the artist alleys and things like that, I love to just pull up and say hi and support and buy a couple prints because I love physical prints, and just say hi. And that's really how we built our rapport over the years, because we were really only talked online before then, And then found out that you also live in Markham, and I was based in Markham, or lived in Markham my entire life. So I was like, great, it actually works out.
I'll be real. I honestly thought you guys moved to LA, like you guys made the big move. I didn't realize that you guys were still here.
No, the office is right here. It's like a 20-minute drive.
Yeah, literally.
And so and I realized that you graduated from OCAD like a while ago. And then what I also realized is a lot of the people at commission also graduated from OCAD. Then I realized that like OCAD students are just cracked, And I think one of the interesting questions that I have, or like kind of something I always thought of, I never really got the chance to ask an OCAD student, is like the idea of going to school for illustration or for graphic design, and then like doing something that you're really going to school for something you're really passionate about, and then coming out of school and then doing exactly that. And OCAD is like an art school. What does this stand for?
Ontario College of Art and Design.
Okay, well that's self-explanatory. Wow, now that's an art school. So that's the program a lot of people go to for graphic design, illustration, things like this. And they specialize in it. And then so obviously a lot of the people are talented, like that are in your programs or graduate from it. But it's always interesting because I think of it in my shoes, where I didn't go to school for music engineering or music production, but there are programs to do it. And I always thought like, what would it be like? What would I be like, or what would my point of view of the industry be like if I started going to school for it? So how was kind of your experience in your undergrad, and what did you actually go into study for?
Oh man, this is a long story. So
Uh-huh.
I signed up for the general arts program, and I signed up knowing I wanted to do concept art for video games.
Oh,
So first year was just general arts, where they kind of give you a little taste of everything, like sculpture, painting, drawing, just anything you can think of. They just give you a little sprinkle of everything.
yeah.
And I very early realized, maybe like 1 or 2 months in when we started doing our first projects, I was like, okay, this really isn't for me, because this is the fine arts program.
Oh.
And I had an option to change to the design program, because like I want to do illustration. I didn't want to do fine art. So I figured, okay, why don't I try switching to another program? So you have to go through the same interview process again and see if you're up to join the program. I didn't get in. They
Oh.
like flat out rejected me. So I thought, okay, my next best option is to go into a more specialized program in this arts program, and that was animation.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so second year, transfer to animation, and then I'm like, okay, let me just pivot and let's try to see if we can make like more animation, because I really like anime and I really want to try going in that direction. And that was a bit more of what I was looking for, but it wasn't. It was still too general. They taught you how to do frame by frame, 3D, but it wasn't like the entire pipeline of what you would think doing anime was, like doing like the whole like thumbnailing, layout, color keys, stuff like that.
There was no like glitz and glamour. It
Yeah.
was like,
It was kind of like, okay, we have an assignment for you. Now figure it out.
oh, just figure it out.
Yeah. They have like a website where they have a lot of tutorials and stuff like that. So it's more like they give you an assignment and you just kind of have to figure out and kind of find your voice. I think that's what a lot of the going to school is about, is just to find your voice, and it's not to like shoehorn you into doing a specific thing, kind of like what Sheridan does, where like you're going there specifically to work in the animation pipeline. And I think that's what I was looking for. So I felt a little bit directionless going to school, where my art style would kind of split into like 4 different things, where okay, I have like a school art style, something to kind of impress the professors, and then I would have like my convention art style, where I know what sells. And I think, doing all these different art styles kind of shaped me as an artist who I am today.
Yeah, you just get more versatile because like you kind of split your art styles into like different things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then so like if any clients come up or any projects, you always feel confident that you can do anything, or like enough to like finish the job where they would be satisfied.
Yeah. I just slowly became a jack of all trades as I started doing more freelance work after school.
Yeah.
And that's kind of who I represent myself. But maybe that's not that great, because I'm kind of like I'm good at everything, but not really great at one single thing.
You think so? I feel like you're pretty cracked at everything. I don't personally.
I feel like it just comes as a freelancer, because if I were to, I recently had to write down my job titles as to kind of represent myself for a presentation I'm doing soon, and I'm like, oh, what is my like top job title? I have no idea. I'm like a pixel artist. I'm an illustrator, graphic designer. I'm a packaging designer. Like I have so many things under my belt where like I just don't, like I can do everything, but I just not best at one,
Okay, I see. So I mean, what do you graduate specifically for out of OCAD?
Animation.
And so, oh wow, it's for animation.
Yeah.
Okay. So you graduated for animation. I'm assuming you did not want to work in the animation industry right away out of graduation.
I did for a certain point. So right after I graduated, I was working as a graphic designer, and I figured like that would also give me experience just working in an office setting. and working with other people and seeing how the workflow is like. And then as I was working that, I was also looking to be a background painter for the industry as well.
Ooh.
So I went to one of those job fairs for animation, and I was just showing my portfolio around, and I ended up getting some work. And next year I went to animation studio, and yeah, I was working as a background painter.
I think I remember that sort of era where you were doing that, because I think it was around the same time I was commissioning you, and you're like, oh, this is what I'm doing right now.
Yeah.
So I kind of vaguely remember like you working that job for a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, how long do you work there for?
Oh man, I didn't work there for like that long at all. It was maybe only like 3-4 months.
Oh, it was quick.
It was really hard.
It was hard. Okay.
Yeah. Because the workflow was like you pretty much have to make a background every single day. We had to send our backgrounds to like the first party studio, because we're just like the third party company who gets the work. Send it to them, have no revisions, and that would be like your work done for the week. So if you get any revisions back, then that means you're slacking.
Oh.
Yeah. So I was clearly slacking because I got a lot of revisions back. I'm like not good at following the pre-existing style.
Uh-huh.
So a lot of it was just like, okay, you gotta like
You take some creative liberties.
yeah. But if you're working in the animation industry, you really have to follow the pre-existing style, or you're just like the odd man out. And I kind of felt that pressure where I'm like, oh damn, like I can't take any creative liberties, like even though I'm an artist. But now I'm just feeling like a cog in the machine, right? Where I'm just like, okay, I gotta get this done like for the animation. I mean, which is fine, right? But I just felt like so much pressure to perform as good as everybody else on my team, where I'm like, oh, okay, I gotta come in on weekends too, and
fall
like
in line.
yeah,
Deal.
yeah, and like, cause I just like didn't want to make the production get delayed, right?
Yeah, right. And then, I mean, after 4 months, do you feel like it was burnt out, just not for you, or you're just like, I can't foresee myself like doing this in the future, so like I'm a leave, quit, whatever it is?
I think it was definitely the work environment was just like a lot more pressure than working at home.
Oh yeah.
And I was let go from my position.
Okay, I see.
Yeah, but I just heard that company in particular wasn't that great to its artists anyway.
Oh, okay.
I was pretty happy actually that I was let go. I have I have no grudges, because right after I was let go, I was like, okay, I can do more freelance now, and I can take like a small vacation. And that was actually really good timing, because the vacation was just before COVID happened.
Oh.
So I went to Taiwan for 2-3 weeks.
Yeah.
Came back, and then COVID slowly started trickling in, and then we were all locked down.
Wow. And then during that lockdown, that's when you had like, obviously more than enough time to really just focus on your own craft and freelance and things like that.
Yeah. So when COVID happened, a lot of conventions just stopped functioning.
Yep.
So I figured, okay, I can stay at home and focus more on what I want to do in art, and also pick up more freelance work. And I ended up working at a video game studio. So I did like a lot of backgrounds and assets for them, and that was like mainly pixel art. So that kept me going for quite a while.
Okay. You're someone, like, when I view you as an artist and like everything you do, your portfolio, and one of the easiest ways to view like an artist's portfolio is just social media, like Instagram, Twitter, and things like that, for me at least. And you're definitely one of the artists that I look at, and I look at a lot of artists, just because for inspiration, where sometimes I'll just pull up like someone's art and they'll just like make music to it. I'll just be like, okay, it's like something to look at, to visualize while I'm like trying to create a scenario.
Yeah, totally.
And then there's a lot of artists that just don't have really much of a presence, you say. They literally use it just as a portfolio. And
Right.
I think you're someone that I look to that does it extremely well, where you're almost an influencer in a way, where the way you use social media and then use your community and use your fan base in order to like leverage that into more opportunities, or whether it be selling merch, whether it be for like if you ever make your own video game in the future, you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
you would have like a social media base or like a platform you have already built for yourself in order to like make those projects successful. So what is your mindset on like doing social media as an artist?
Man, the social media landscape has changed so much, even like the past 5 years. I feel like I'm still very old school, where I mostly post just my artwork. Uh, Lately, I've been drawing like all those vending machines.
Yeah.
So, I ask viewers like to send me ideas in the form of like 3 emojis. And that's like a very simple way for viewers to like engage with you, right? People want to like see their ideas turned into like me drawing it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think uh it gives you like more of a relationship with your audience, and that's something that they could buy as merch later on, and that's like they're influencing my art direction.
Yeah.
And I think that's really fun for both me and the audience to do, rather than just having like oh, I drew this and like here you go.
Yeah.
And over the past 5 years, like Instagram like created reels, and there's TikTok now. So my audience has stuck with me for a long time. Like I haven't had that much growth for the past like 3 or so years after COVID. And that's partly because I just can't get into the mindset of making reels yet.
Uh-huh. Well, I feel like you've made a lot and you've grown a lot. Let's be real.
Yeah.
I feel like you have. Yeah.
I mean, I definitely see myself having like I'm like in 2 different worlds, where like one is on social media and one is like at conventions.
Uh-huh.
And if I was solely in the mindset of social media, like, oh, I'm seeing my numbers are not growing that much, and I'm like stuck in that, then I would have like no other frame of reference. Like, damn, I kind of fallen off.
You feel like you've fallen off.
Yeah.
There's sort of a value placed on like that growth.
Yeah, I feel like even though people say, like, oh, like don't equate the quality of your art to your numbers, there's always like subconsciously artists are gonna think that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like, oh, my post didn't perform as well as it did last week.
Yeah.
And you just kind of see like, especially when you have the analytics, you can see like, oh, you didn't perform as well as like last month. Like, what's happening? And so I have like my conventions to kind of back me up,
Mm-hmm.
to say like, okay, I'm gonna make like 3 new artworks and then put it up and see like how well it does. And if it does well, then I'm happy. So I have like kind of a backup meter of if my art is doing well. So funny story, the longest time I've had these 2 artworks, Good Morning and Good Night. It's like the goldfish and the jellyfish, night and day. So those 2 prints have sold the best over like the past 5-6 years.
Uh-huh.
And like they're really, really old. And I kind of get mad at those prints, because I'm like, yo, is my newer art not
that is good? Yeah.
so I'm constantly trying to like make art that tops my older art.
Oh wow, that's crazy, because in music it's a very similar idea where like maybe some of your older music will just always do better, or like your new music will never reach numbers as like your old stuff.
Yeah.
I never thought of it in like visual arts, where like that's like the same thing as well. Like some of your old prints will like just always outsell your new stuff.
Yeah. I always think like, oh, my newest piece has to top every other piece that I've made.
Mm-hmm.
And if it doesn't, then I get mad.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Like, not actually mad, but like,
you're just like, damn. Like, I gotta get better.
Stop buying this. Buy this
Wait,
new
what?
one.
I mean, obviously you're not gonna take it off because it sells the best.
Exactly.
But eventually,
exactly.
you're just like, fuck this. You can't buy this anymore.
Yeah, like I've wanted to replace those 2 best-selling prints for the longest time, and I feel like I just need to make like a kind of like a homage to those 2 prints as like 2 like revivals.
Kind of like a video game remaster.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. it sounds kind of bad now, but I do have the goodnight one with the jellyfish. I also picked it because it looks sick.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That means I just have to make a new one to
Yeah,
give the
I'm
next one
just
to you.
a statistic. I also love your pixel art Gundam one that you made.
Oh.
I'm like, I actually gonna buy a frame to like put it up. That's how much.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
I can't wait
that
to
was
see.
crazy. Also, that very same convention, I told you it was like a Gundam workshop, right?
Yeah.
So I went there and I was like holding the art, and then everyone in line is just a Gundam fan, right? And then so everyone's asking me like, "Where do you buy this one? I'm like, "Yo, instantly, it's in the outer side. Let's just go." So I don't know how many I actually like people that actually went to you and bought it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that happened a lot.
That's so nice to hear.
Yeah. I mean, you're talking about speaking on conventions. Like, I always found the convention life to be very unique experience as an artist, like just for you guys. It's a very unique, like niche experience,
Yeah.
Like for most people, you just go to the convention, you just go to the artist alley, you just go buy prints, or like you go find your favorite anime and like an artist probably drawing something you like, right?
Yeah.
And that's how I saw it before I knew any artist that like put up booths and things like that. I was just going like, oh, there's a Naruto one, oh, there's a Haikyuu one, It wasn't until knowing someone who like sort of seeing a little bit of the behind the scenes of what it means to be like some people just live off conventions,
Yeah.
like for a living.
Yeah.
So and then I found that really great. I never thought of it that way, where people just travel everywhere and just sell art for a living,
Yeah.
So how do you find like the convention life,
It's definitely a different type of hustle.
Oh yeah.
You're basically your own small business owner on wheels.
Yeah.
And you have to figure out like what's the best way to like bring your stuff from point A to point B, especially when you have like back to back conventions.
Ooh,
and you have to
tiring.
like pre-plan ahead of time, like, okay, I gotta send like this amount of inventory to this place and this place and this place, and make sure that everything comes on time. There's no hiccups during travel. There's no like missing inventory, stuff like that. And also like, managing your image and your brand. That's like a lot of things that artists don't really think about,
Oh yeah.
but should. And it's just like how you want to represent yourself.
How
'Cause
you're perceived.
yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of people in the artist alley, you see them draw like a fan art from a really popular show. And, if it's a really popular show, then everybody's going to draw a print of that. So, for example, Bochi the Rock, everybody was drawing Bochi the Rock for the past year. So, if everybody's drawing it, then the customer is only going to buy so much Bochi, right? They're going to have to pick and choose like which one they're going to buy from, right? Before it becomes a bit oversaturated. So you kind of have to put your own take on specific IP and have its own uniqueness, you know?
How do you find that you made yourself stand out in like, because the artist alleys are huge, and especially this year at Fan Expo, I couldn't move like through the alleys. It was like, absurd. Like even if I wanted to see some guy's art, I couldn't even get there, So then, my main target was just to see you, and then Sal. The first time I saw him as well in his booth, and you and Katie obviously. But it's like if I actually wanted to go search for other artists, I would just try to look down the alley and just see something that pops out, and I would just go to that, right?
Yeah.
So how do you found that you separate, or you kind of carved your own niche in the convention sort of space, where how you made the sort of strategies you used to stand out?
Oh, that's tough. I think, honestly, like half the time I don't even know. I focus a lot on my backgrounds, and my backgrounds have like a lot of vibrant colors. And most of the time my backgrounds are based in Asia, like Japan, Hong Kong. And so I gravitate towards the anime audience and I call it the Japan enjoyers audience.
I feel so called out. Japan enjoy. Okay.
The moment they see like, because I really like Japan, right? So I try to emulate what I like about Japan into my own artwork. And it could be like the simplest things, like, oh, I put like an air conditioner into my drawing, and people will like
I'm actually
instantly
a sucker
recognize
for
it.
that. I'm just like, dude, I feel like, yo, that's a vibe, bro.
Right?
I can relate to that air conditioner.
So I feel like I have like a good mix of like not just anime or not just like landscape. I have like a good mix of both audiences
Mm-hmm.
to pull from.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of packaging design, I study like a lot of Japanese packaging, and also like read a lot of Japanese magazines like Popeye, and that gives me a lot of inspiration of like how to translate my ideas into something that looks very like functional and very good looking.
Oh, that's smart actually, because yeah, I mean, I think when I went to Japan, like the way they present their art and like their packaging designs and things like that, it's clear that they put a lot of thought into it,
Yeah.
and the way like what makes it easier for the consumer.
Yeah.
You know? So like that's a really good idea. I never really thought of it that way.
Yeah. I'm not sure how well that translates into customers wanting to buy my stuff, because it's kind of like my own personal indulgence,
Yeah.
because it's like I really like it, so I'm gonna translate that into my own branding.
Right. I mean, it makes it easier for them to be like, when they do buy your stuff, they're like, oh, that was like really easy, or like really convenient, or like, it was good experience for them. So then whenever they buy, or whenever they want to buy stuff from you, they'll know like it's, they may not know like specifically that you're doing things to cater to their experience, but then it's like subconsciously they're just like, oh, that was like great, I always want to buy from Nelson, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's really smart. I guess another thing about conventions is like it seems really tiring and tedious, especially if you're doing back-to-back weeks. You have to be there the entire time. If you're just by yourself, if you don't have a team or someone else to help you, at least you have like a partner that also does conventions. You know, you can kind of like, I'll take a break, you take over the booth.
Yeah.
Type of deal. Like, sort of what has been the most chaotic sort of experience, and how do you get through the day or like these weekend conventions?
Man, I always tell people to stay hydrated,
Oh.
because you're going to be talking a lot, interacting with customers. And I used to do conventions just solo or with my girlfriend. And I realized like, in the beginning, I was like, no, I can just tank it. I'll be fine. And, as more and more people come, I'm like, okay, maybe I need a helper. So now I've just been hiring my friends who have shown like a really big interest in like helping me table. So that's really nice. And yeah, I guess like the most chaotic it's been is for Anime North. Anime North has like the biggest turnout for like any convention in Toronto. So what I would do is I would kind of pretend like I'm working at McDonald's, right? So customer would come in, and then I'd be like, oh, you want this, and this? So I write it down on a sticky note, kind of like I'm writing down someone's order, and then I would give it to the person packing, and then they would pack it. So it'd be like a very, very
you got process,
organized system. Yeah.
Oh, that's smart, actually.
Yeah. So it'd just be that like constantly for like 7 hours straight.
For 3 days straight.
Honestly, though, I kind of enjoy a convention that's super busy rather than when it's really quiet. Because if it's really quiet, then I'm just prone to fall asleep a little.
Oh, yeah.
The day feels longer.
Yeah, okay, yeah, for sure. And then there's like less customers, and you feel like, oh, like you're not like moving as much inventory. It definitely like feels bad.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. I definitely enjoy when the day's like, it goes by so quickly. It's like, usually I'm like, oh, it's so busy. I look at my watch, it's like an hour past already. I'm like, damn, already. Okay.
Nice. Yeah. Dude, it was crazy. That last Fan Expo, I couldn't even talk to you. You just had a long line. You just had a long ass line in front of yours. I'm just like, oh, hi, Nelson.
Yeah, I kind of felt bad for the people tabling around me, because they're probably giving me this bombastic side eye, like, man, I'm never tabling beside this guy again.
Yeah. Hey, I mean, you're just popular. What can you say, you know? I mean, it's great for you as well. I mean, obviously, having a good social media platform and like your success there will translate to more people. Some people will just come to the convention to like look for you. If like you're saying I'm tabling here, like if they're already there, they'll be like, oh, great, get to see you. Or some people might even just to go buy your physical prints,
Yeah, I haven't realized how many people just come to the show just to see me.
Yep.
Sometimes I play this game on social media where I put on my story like, hey, if you come to my booth and you say the secret password, then I'll give you something for free. So I kind of gauge like how many people come to my show just to see me.
Oh, that's actually smart. I've not seen it once. So oops.
Are you even a real fan?
I'm not on social media as often as I'd like take a specific thing I like to do now, just because it kind of really affected me and my mental for a little bit, which is like I was like comparing myself too much. So kind of when I'm on social media, I'm not like scrolling through all the time. It's like I'll make my post where I'll look at what events are happening around that people that I'm interested in doing. So I'll know that you're tabling, but I won't know like specifically everything that's going on. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Going on from that, like, how do you find the freelance life? Because that's mostly what you're doing now, right? And,
yeah.
It's obviously something that you're relatively successful in, but it's stressful for everyone because you don't know where your next paycheck's gonna come from. Or like, sometimes, I mean, the most consistent stream of income is when conventions come.
Yeah.
But on your off time, like, you have to find a way to like do commissions and things like that.
Yeah. As a freelancer, it's very nerve wracking when you have very highs and lows of paychecks.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have months where you have $0 coming in and you're just going into the negative from investing into like the next show.
Yeah.
And I get a bit insecure when it comes to like constantly, because I feel like I have to constantly be making money or else I'm like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Right?
You feel like if internally you're like conflicted, like, am I a failure? Like, questioning your own abilities.
Yeah. And I know that's just like a mental thing, like just me. And so I would constantly be looking for work on my downtime just to see like, oh, is there any potential like in this project. So most of the time during convention off season, that's when I'd be doing freelance and also like making art for the shows.
Yeah.
And then, well, that's the other thing about conventions post COVID is that it's really difficult to get into shows now.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, after COVID, a lot of people picked up art as like their new hobby. And like a lot of people are really good at it, like people like younger than us. And, that's like fresh talent coming in. It's like a new generation of artists, right? So, the convention space can only accommodate so many people.
Yeah.
So it's like harder than ever, like to get into new shows.
Oh, so how does that system work? I know sometimes there's a lottery.
Yeah.
Where you just enter and they'll just pick randomly. Where I'm sure there's some shows that like need to vet who's coming in or not. So then I guess because you're tenured, you're more likely to get a spot compared to someone who's new.
Yeah, it's definitely difficult. Some do lottery and some do jury and some do first come first served.
Okay.
And the most stable is the shows that let you rebook the previous year.
Oh, so it's like you made it. You
Yeah.
want to do it next year.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you kind of secure a spot for the next year.
That's even harder to get in then, because then like
Yeah.
majority of people, all the slots are already taken.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I see.
Yeah. So me trying to apply for newer shows, like there's one in Calgary where I really wanted to apply, but then I realized that there was like over like 1,000 applications. Like there's no way. So before COVID, everybody was like, oh, this is a really easy show to get into, like try it out. And I was just a bit too late.
And so now it's just almost impossible.
Yeah.
It feels like, damn, okay.
Yeah. So I guess there's those two uncertainties of like, oh, whether I'll get into the show or not, or like whether I'll get this freelance work or not. So so I guess the next most sustainable source for me is from like my own online store. And that's like something I really focused on like during COVID, since there was no conventions, right?
Right.
So kind of developing my brand online and seeing what kind of potential there is there.
I mean, one thing I think you did really a good job in as well is like your Kickstarter for the book that you're collaborating on with other artists.
Yeah.
Wonder Egg.
Yes.
I'm a real one. See, I got it. I got the name.
You
Yeah.
invested in that one too.
Yeah, I did. Okay. I invested in it because like I thought it was a really cool idea. But it was also one of my busiest times in my own life.
Yeah.
I messaged you. I was just like, because like part of the package that I bought or the Kickstarter I bought was like I get to like create my own character and then you guys are writing it.
Yeah.
I didn't even have time to do that. I was just like, yo, Nelson, like just draw my cat somewhere. Like that's good enough. Yeah, but yeah, I thought that was a really neat idea in terms of like engagement. I was like, if you really fuck with any of the artists that are working on that project, and just to be able to support them, and you get a lot of cool stuff out of it too. Although
Yeah.
I actually forgot that I was supposed to get that. And then I didn't get it from that like Kickstarter package for me until late last year.
Yeah, it was like a year after I finished.
And you had to remind me too. It was like, yo,
Yeah.
did you ever get it? I'm like, no, actually. Oh yeah, there's really dope stuff. You know?
Yeah.
I think that's a really good idea to leverage, like when you're building your brand and your social media presence, and you as an artist to also leverage that into like creating your own store. Like people love your stuff. Like one of the best things as an artist is like the consumption of your art also includes wanting to buy prints or wanting to buy products that you create, you know?
Yeah.
So I think your strategy for it is a really smart one, in my opinion. And I think more artists, maybe not necessarily follow exactly what you're doing, but it's just like, I think that's a really good strategy in order to like have more consistent stream income.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, monetize your work.
Yeah, I constantly take inspiration from artists that I see online already. So I'm always learning from what kind of avenues they're taking.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think in the convention scene specifically, is that we all kind of take inspiration from each other to see like what the best way to go about things is.
I feel like you've been doing conventions for long enough where like I'm sure you see some of the same people all the time every year.
Yeah.
Like I'm sure you guys build like a rapport and like get close and things like that.
Yeah.
That's really cool. What is your favorite convention to booth? Ever?
Ever?
Yeah.
Oh man. I'd say it's Anime Expo
Okay.
in LA just because I get to go to
Oh.
LA.
It's also like famous. Like everyone goes there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, you get to meet a lot of artists that you've just interacted with online.
Mhm.
And you know, people don't usually come up to Toronto. So,
Yeah. We're
Yeah.
a little isolated.
yeah.
Well, it's just New York is right there. You might as well go to the New York like anime expos
Right.
instead of Toronto.
Yeah. Yeah, what was I saying?
The LA Expo.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, one of the biggest perks of going to conventions is that you get to travel,
Mhm.
right? I think, you know, as a freelancer, that's not, you usually just stay at home. So, you know, traveling's a big perk. Eating the food there.
LA's amazing.
Yeah.
LA food's amazing.
Yeah. I feel like if I was like trapped in my house for like the whole year, I would just go insane.
Yeah, I feel that. I feel like also another symptom of that is like I feel really stagnant, and even if it's not necessarily true, just like I feel like stuck. And
Yeah.
Traveling really helps, and obviously it's a privilege to be able to do it, and
Mhm.
it really helps me get remotivated, a new wave of inspiration, kind of open my eyes to like more of how the world works, and it just breeds a lot more motivation
Yeah.
in my own creativity.
Yeah. I feel like as artists, we need to be stimulated and do things that are not art related.
Oh yeah.
And like even though conventions, like I'm going there to sell my art, you're doing something different than what you're doing in your everyday routine.
Mhm.
So like instead of drawing, I'm like interacting with people. I feel
Yeah.
like conventions is like the only place I do interact with people now. And
It's the most direct way.
yeah,
too.
yeah, totally. And you know, getting to meet your fans is really cool.
Oh yeah. What is like the biggest nightmare story that you have? That something just went horribly wrong at a convention, or has it been like relatively smooth sailing?
I feel like it's been relatively smooth. The only like small hiccups throughout the way. There was there's this one time so usually I travel with one of my friends, Sal, and you know, we're going through customs and they're scanning. We bring like our photo stand with us, and it's in like this big black bag. So of course it goes through secondary scanning, and they're like, "What's inside?" Like, it's just a photo stand. Like, there's nothing in there. And so they open it up and they check it out, and they're like examining it, like, ooh, like this part goes together with this part.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, it's a photo stand, guys.
Yeah.
And we're just trying to like hope that they don't break anything. So
Ooh.
they finish looking at everything, and they put it back together in the bag. And the moment they start putting things together, I'm like, oh my god, they don't know it has to go in a very specific order for it to fit, because it's very
It's a tight
very
bag.
tight.
Yeah.
So so the moment they started like zipping up the bag, I'm like, oh my god, they're gonna break it. I'm like, it's okay, just
Just let me do it.
yeah, we'll do it. It's fine, it's fine.
Yeah.
So then they break it, and then they look back at us. They're like, oh no, and we're just like, oh my god,
Bro.
oh my god. So it's just like small things like that. Nothing major throughout
Okay.
the years.
Yeah, it's a weird thing. I know they have to do this. Is like when you bring film through. I don't know if you experienced this through
Oh, like
security.
actual film.
Yeah. They have to check it, right? And then if you goes through the scanner, then it kind of affects like the film. Like sometimes it fucks it up. So like
Okay.
you can ask for it to be hand checked. So when I was in Japan coming back, I mean some places won't do it. They'll just force you to scan it through. You just pray that your film doesn't get fucked up.
Yeah.
In Japan, they made me take a photo like with the camera, and it was a disposable one too that I just bought from like 7-Eleven.
Yeah.
And like to prove that if I didn't like snap, it wasn't like a bomb. Like I just like snap the thing and it just explodes. So like they hand checked it, which is nice of them to do it. But then I also had to waste a shot of just like the airport carpet, and just like you had to take out the flash, like everything,
Yeah.
like, just to prove that it's not like a weapon that you can use or something. And then so I just have a random photo of my film when I like developed it. Looking back, I was like, oh, that's the one they made me shoot the ground for, just to make
Damn.
sure it's not a weapon. You know?
Damn.
Yeah. So it's like there's weird quirks for like traveling with equipment sometimes.
Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm. What are some of your like dream projects that maybe you don't necessarily have the resources to do? And you talk about working on a video game, or like something you're working on or planning on right now to do.
So this year, one of the projects I want to do is to make another art book, since I haven't made an art book since 2 years ago, the Wonder Egg book.
Oh yeah.
And before that was maybe like 3-4 years ago. And you know, when I first started doing conventions, I would do at least like one art book every year, and that would kind of be my goal to show off a new book for the next lineup of shows. So I kind of want to get back into doing that.
Another art book.
Yeah.
Art books are really, I should, now that we have a coffee table, I finally can throw out my art book somewhere, because I just like kind of just like when I'm bored, like I'll like scan through them. I'm like, oh, this is really cool, But not, I mean, it's great like coffee table books in my opinion, where you could just like look through.
Yeah.
And sometimes some of them just like they tell a story in the art book, which is I didn't know that was a thing. I thought it was just art in a book.
Yeah.
No, there's like a really touching story on one of the artists I bought, and they're just like talking about their life and their motivations, and then the art like kind of accompanies that. I was like, I feel like I bought like a short story and not an art book.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of art books are like very, very intimate about like for the artist. And it's not so much like a moneymaker, and it's more just like a self-indulgence thing. And it's also for people who want to collect, like it's like collecting a period of life from that artist,
Yeah, of your Inktober one, of your Wonder Egg one, I feel like the two. I love the Inktober one because that's what directly inspired the art for Snapshot for me. And it's just like every time I look at it, I'm like, damn, it's like it transports me into like a different ethereal realm, I guess. Like,
yeah. Doing that Inktober series was really fun because it's like the challenge of drawing one artwork every single day.
Yeah,
so that was a huge motivator. And there's also like a lot of artworks in that series that I kind of want to bring into my new art style, because not a lot of people have seen that art book before.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of new people that came like after that series came out.
Oh, that's true. It was like kind of older.
Yeah. You know when you like go back on a certain thing and you're like, oh, that one was a banger.
Yeah.
I got to bring that one back.
Yeah. For sure. I mean, for music, it's like, there's a thing that happens in the music industry. I don't know if you feel it, but sometimes like an old genre will come back again.
Yeah.
And so it was like indie rock and like pop rock was like early 2000s like sort of thing, and now like in 2023 2022 it was like big again. That's something COVID was really talking about and inspiration for his music. So like things cycle back like a lot. So I definitely understand where you're coming from. What about like the video game?
Oh man,
I mean, just to give a little bit of context, it's like I knew you were working on a video game before, just sort of like your own passion project and things like that. And then we did a game jam When you make
Oh,
a video game in a weekend,
that was so fun.
which opened my eyes to like, okay, I really want to write a soundtrack or compose a soundtrack for a video game now because of that experience. But man, that was tough.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
in a weekend, I don't know if people do it, man.
How was working on that game jam with us for a weekend? How like was there a lot of pressure for you to make the music?
It was pressure to like perform because I've never been in that sort of environment, and then I know you're really cracked, and then the game programmer that you brought in was should be a Pixels.
Yeah.
Was also like extremely cracked. Like, just you guys are both so talented, and I feel like not necessarily imposter syndrome, but just like I gotta step up to like not just to perform to expectations, so
Right.
not just let you guys down. You know?
Yeah, for sure.
And there's only I have to do all the audio, sound effects, like music and things like that, and I want to do a really good job. So in terms of like performing to my best of my abilities, that was like sort of the pressure, but it was so much fun. I loved it. Like there was never a second of it where I'm just like, oh, like why am I doing this? If anything, it ignited my passion to want to do it more. You know?
Yeah, I felt like we had very good chemistry working under such a tight deadline.
Yeah.
Because usually, you that timeline can like make or break a team.
Oh yeah.
Right. And I think we accomplished like pretty much everything we wanted to.
Yeah.
Within our scope.
Yeah. I will say, you get like what was the website called? The contest?
Oh, the contest was called Ludum Dare.
Yeah. So for Ludum on the website, you can see when you finally get your final rating, you get like there's certain categories like theme, music, audio, like design, things like that, or gameplay, and then they rate it at like 5 or 10, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then so you can see the breakdown of how people rate your game, and then for audio, it was like the art was like 9 out of 10, like the game design was like 8 out of 10, whatever, and then it comes to audio, it was like 7.8 or whatever. I'm just like, I thought I did a good job.
Damn.
Nah, you get obviously the comments were giving a lot of good feedback. Like, yo, the audio was great, like the audio and the art like really create the atmosphere. So like, but I just saw the rating, I'm like, why is it so low?
We got overall it was like 19th place.
Yeah, we did great.
I'm pretty happy with that.
We did great. I mean, you guys carried the shit out of it. I feel like
it was all Shiba.
I had the easiest job for sure. Like I had a lot of downtime where I was like chilling, like eating dinner, and you guys are just like crunching it. Yeah. I feel bad for Shibuya. You really went through it.
Yeah. I would definitely want to do more game jams in the future, just because it's so fun. Investing like just like a short weekend.
Yeah.
To make like an entire game.
Yeah.
Like some games like you take like months and maybe years and you don't have like any results.
Yeah.
So having like that quick burst of dopamine from finishing a project.
Get to play like a tangible thing.
Yeah.
Which is really cool because I love playing games. I don't know about you. I'm assuming the same.
Mm-hmm.
I would call myself a gamer. So then actually like playing a game that I was like a part of the design for was like really fulfilling. And it made me really want to do it more in the future. So if anyone has video game projects out in the future, I would love to. I don't have a portfolio for it though, unfortunately. So you just have to like trust me on that.
Yeah.
Is that like, so with like developing your own video game, like as like an actual like full blown multi-year project, was that something you're interested in?
Yeah, I been doing like my own IP for the past 3 years now. That project kind of fell through just because there was a bit of mismanagement, and so I kind of want to pivot and just focus on my own art for now.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm at the point where I'm just like I'm not as ready as I should be.
Right.
Especially
it's a lot to take care of.
Yeah. Because I'm mainly at the end of the day just an artist that does like I'm mainly just good at doing the visuals. I'm not in any way a game designer.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of questions that arise, between like you and the programmer of like how something works, and a lot of the things that programmers tell me where I'm like, oh, I have no idea what you're talking about. I just want like this specific thing to work. Yeah. I kind of like I have the visual language, but I don't have the technical behind it.
Mm-hmm.
So when a game designer is like, oh, this won't work because this program doesn't allow it, I'm like, I don't get it.
Yeah, you're like, okay, but I want it to work, so.
Yeah. So I don't really have the creative workaround in the program
Mm-hmm.
to solve, I'm just like, oh, I just want it to look like this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. It is a lot to like take in because you not only there's the programming, like it's every aspect of the game, right?
Mhm,
It's like the
mhm.
music, the sound effects, that all falls under whoever's the game lead, which is you, for example, because it's your own. So you're not just doing the animation or like the art for it, right? You have to make sure the program is good. You have to understand everything, and that's probably the hardest part.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, especially because coding is like its own language, right? So you're basically
Yeah.
learning the language to translate into to
Mhm.
visual.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I definitely want to give it a go again, maybe just to like gauge interest.
Yeah.
But for now, I'm just gonna put it on the back burner.
Yeah. Just leave it for another time when you're
Yeah,
ready.
I think there was like another idea I wanted to try out was just do more animations because like obviously I did graduate with the animation
Oh, yeah.
degree. I got to use it somehow. And I think with Instagram Reels being like more popular, that's what like people are engaged with, to try doing some animations with some music behind it.
Oh yeah.
I think we want to try that out.
Oh
We
yeah,
just
and
haven't
then
had the time to get around
I
to
just
it.
got like one project after the other, and then
Yeah.
just kept being pushed back. But that is something I always think about when I'm like thinking of Nelson. I'm like, I should do that. I should finish that song.
Yeah.
But yeah, that I think is a really good idea, and I think animated music videos is always just like incredible. I have so much respect or like admiration for people who do that
Yeah.
because I'm like, animation is already tough. Like I asked you to animate like the cover for Pocky, the song I released, and I was like, I'm assuming that was like a lot of effort already. I can't imagine like, and that was just like a 30-second loop, you know?
Yeah.
I can't imagine doing like 2-3 minutes of like story driven, like just if there's any action, for example. I mean, Shelter is like the pinnacle of that. You know what I'm saying?
Totally.
Obviously, you get Porter Robinson got like a whole animation studio to do it for him, but it was like imagine like being a freelance artist and like doing your own animated music videos. That's insane.
Yeah. I think one of my far in the future dreams is to create my own animation studio where I would just do like short films. And this is a kind of silly, but I really like the animated music videos, or no, animated commercials for things like cup noodles. There was this one commercial that was a girl and guy, and the girl's asking the guy like, oh, like, do you love me? And the guy is like doing a whole confession, and like literally the entire world around them is like being blown to pieces, like a meteor is crashing down.
Yeah.
And it's an ad for cup noodles. It's like nothing related to cup noodles, but it's like that commercial exists. And I don't know, I definitely want to do not like full anime, but just like small commercials, kind of like that.
Yeah. It's like I need to watch that commercial. It sounds absurd.
It's very absurd.
I definitely see like if you ever found a animation studio in the future to like take on projects where like you take commercials or you take animated music videos for people and like produce that for them in the future, you absolutely could.
Yeah. Have you seen the McDonald's anime before? It's also like a series of commercials where
They have an anime?
yeah.
What the?
Yeah.
Okay. No, I haven't. I gotta watch that.
It's kind of like, it's almost glamorizing how good it is to work at McDonald's because it's like a hiring video.
It's like a day in a life. Like,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and they make it look so fun, right?
Okay.
Yeah. So
that's sort of the vein of things you want to do.
Yeah.
For sure.
I also like really like Yoasobi, and her team also has animated music videos.
Oh,
Those
yeah.
are
They're cracked.
So fun to watch.
Yeah. That's definitely the one I go to immediately when it comes to animated video. Actually, the Japanese music scene, they do it a lot. And more than any other music scene that I think of. North America doesn't do it that often.
Yeah, it's hard to come
Here
by.
in the West, yeah. So I feel like in Asia, it's definitely way more of a prominent thing.
Yeah. If you ever go on Twitter and type in indie_anime, that's where a lot of like really cracked animators show off their like portfolios and what they're working on.
Oh, I gotta check it out.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's so much good talent out there.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, the Japanese animation scene is just like on another level.
Dude, the VFX animation scene is crazy. Like the new Godzilla movie.
Yeah.
That one just like you see that VFX. It's like everything everywhere all at once. You see the VFX team is like tiny comparatively to like other studios, and you're just like, how do they pull something so crazy off?
Yeah. I feel like Japan, like their work culture is like they have to know how to do everything and make it work under like whatever deadline they have.
So they that sort of like small team or individual person just like being so cracked and talented and produce like even a small short film by themselves is like they're built for it.
Yeah.
They're built for it, for sure. I guess sort of one of the last topics we're going to touch on today is just like you're someone who's I see as a veteran in your industry, respective industry. You've been doing for a very long time, and you've done it successfully. What sort of advice do you have for people aspiring visual artists, aspiring freelance artists, or people who want to do more conventions and things like that? What sort of advice do you have for the young artists in the world when they to get into the industry?
Man, there's a lot.
That was a lot. You can just go wherever. Like, just more general. Like, what advice do you have for artists to like sort of do what you do? What advice do you have?
I'd say if you want to go into my industry, then there's really not that much of a need to go to art school. I recommend art school just for people who need a direction and who want to find a voice. If you have the willpower to
Get through 4
find
years.
if you have the willpower to do that, then
Yeah.
then do it. But if you have the self motivation to figure out what you want to do on your own, then you have more than enough resources like online to help you do that. And this is advice that I tell people who are like currently directionless in what they want to do in art, and something that I always think about whenever I'm out and about is to just figure out what kind of things you like, because as artists we're ultimately like we're like radio receivers. We kind of receive different signals and we kind of like extract something out of it.
Yeah.
I like a lot of anime, a lot of like food, music, like all those things that I like kind of go into my own art. And everybody receives different signals, and let's say like we both draw the same apple, but the way we draw it is going to be different, right? So that's just like our different ways of perceiving the world. And I guess through that, like all the different things that you like about something will just emulate into your art naturally. And that's how I found my voice. And you'll go through a lot of phases of imposter syndrome.
Oh yeah.
Because you like an artist so much and you kind of learn off of them, right? And eventually you'll kind of get through it and figure out your own style.
Speaking of, I love that shirt that you wear. I've been eyeing it up all episode.
Oh,
Are you selling that right now? Like on your store?
No, I this one actually just came fresh off the press.
Gee.
Yeah.
Okay.
I actually got one for you too.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh shit. Oh, it's been on the side the whole time. Gee. Oh my god. Wait, hold on. I gotta show it to this camera. Because
So
like the
this-
front is like curry. I love curry. Japanese curry. Is
Oh.
fire.
Nice pick.
And where could they buy this if they wanted to?
So it's going to be on my store in March 2024. All the curries on one shirt.
And then this is the front. Cracked. Wow, thank you, bro. I appreciate you coming on. Thank you, Nelson. You're
Yeah.
someone that, for a very long time, your art has always inspired me in my own music, and you're someone the first guy I think of when I commission my cover art for projects and things like that. How motivated you are and your work ethic is also someone I look up to when it comes to like figuring out my own work processes, and you inspire me a lot. And I really appreciate you coming on. I feel like I've learned a lot of insight when it comes to like behind the industry and things like that, because I'm just mostly focused on music, you know. So like
Yeah.
when I see you guys like are so cracked and talented in your own realms, it's like, oh, really really interesting. I have so many questions, so it's really interesting to hear like how you guys feel or like the behind the scenes of everything. So I appreciate you coming on again. And thank you guys for listening. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. This is something that we've been a focus on for the last couple of podcasts and podcasts going forward. It's just like, as much as I love to bring music industry people on, because that's the most experience I have, it's always nice to like get people from different realms, and especially in Toronto. Like, there's so many creatives like in Toronto. It's kind of crazy that I feel like to be able to explore the ins and outs of like different industries, and you know, people in the audience like are into different things. So I hope you guys get something out of it. The same thing I do when I get these guests on, have conversations with them, and see you on the next episode. Big.